sounding like no end in sight to above normal temperatures in KELOLAND. A professor fights to keep his job after a controversial post, and a new prison in sight for South Dakota. This is Inside the Newsroom, and I'm your host, Maddie Paul. Inside the Newsroom, we bring you the trending stories of the KELOLAND area, and then we bring in our newsroom staff members to talk about these trending stories that you see every day on our newscasts and online at KELOLAND.com. Yesterday was pretty eventful. We didn't have Inside the Newsroom or any of our KELOLAND Plus original shows air because we were busy on KELOLAND Plus giving you a live stream session of the prison vote special session. And after that live stream, we learned that the South Dakota State Legislature has approved a proposed men's prison project for northeast of Sioux Falls. Joining us now is our digital reporter, Ray Yost, who has been watching that live stream all day from 9 in the morning to basically 7 at night, right, Ray?
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah, it was a very long day for you. Yeah. And you had been updating our website the entire time, giving very detailed and accurate information about what viewers had been seeing the entire time. So we knew that the bill needed 2/3 support to pass, which obviously it got. But what was the numbers? How many votes did each chamber give the bill, Ray?
Well, in the House, that bill was 51 to 18, and in the Senate, it was 24 to 11. And so they needed the 2/3 majority, which was pretty critical. But they got it not quite as easily in the House because they needed 20. In the Senate because they needed 24. But in the House, they got it because they needed roughly 47.
You know, it was a long day, and you were there the entire time. But getting these votes, watching that process and the testimonies, the deliberation, were there any takeaways that stood out to you yesterday, Ray?
Well, the discussion first that started in the joint committee between Senate and House members, many who were on the task force. There was, of course, testimony in opposition, testimony in support, but some of the exchange on the joint committee was some people maybe who were a little reluctant at the start said they learned a lot. They asked a lot of questions. They had, they were pleased that the $650 million price tag was firmed up with a guaranteed maximum price, and that it was a reduction from the original $825 million considered in February. And then those on the other side who opposed it still maybe felt the price was too high, that we're entering kind of precarious budget times, and that there was a consensus, I think, that the state needs to do something to reduce recidivism, which is, people who may leave prison and then return because they violate parole or commit another offense, and then work on rehabilitation. So there was that little debate too, that part of the debate as well.
And Ray, since you brought up that point of recidivism, I remember hearing Governor Larry Roden say yesterday that he plans to enact a correction rehabilitation task force. Is that a part of the prison bill, or would this be something separate that he introduces? Yeah,
the timing was such that he introduced it yesterday when he talked about the need to pass the prison bill in this special session. But it's an executive order, which he signed yesterday, separate from his legislation, separate from the prison bill. So it's an executive order that creates this committee. And it was an idea or an executive order or committee that lawmakers expressed excitement about. Not all lawmakers, but some specifically mentioned it. As I said, there was a lot of discussion, and it felt like consensus that something more needs to be done in terms of, rehabilitation, the education. And then also on the other side, I think they're talking about with Roden's specific executive order, we're going to build this new prison. There's more space to do this programming. How do we best use it? What kind of things can we implement there that fit with that kind of lawmaker consensus on rehab and recidivism reform needed?
Thank you for that detailed response, Ray. But let's go back to the prison bill, because what kind of project plan has been approved? Let's go back and look at that context. What has been approved?
So what has been approved is roughly 1,500 total beds, a split between what I would call multi-custody, so roughly 1,200 in multi-custody, which means, you can use different phrasing, but medium or high security or closed. So it allows people to maybe have a little more security when they need it, like maybe you're not getting out in the general public as much, the traditional cell type thing that we might think of. and then about 300 in minimum security, which is more like barracks or dorm style as they've described it. The designers and officials have described it. So it's a mix. So what it does is says, okay, this is what the plan should look like or will look like. This is how much we can spend, up to $650 million capped. And then we need to go design this and construct this. But the key piece of this too is following the bidding process in the state. So so it's basically it's a plan to it's a bill that dedicates funding, says this is going to be the site on Benson Road, and this is how much we're going to spend.
So last night, Governor Roden signed the bill, and the next step is the bidding process?
The next step is really to kind of complete that design.
Okay.
I mean, we have what is probably called a preliminary detailed design. But I believe the next step will be to finalize that design so you can say, okay, this is what we know what it's going to look like, but here's all the details so that we can take this design, present it to contractors, subcontractors who are interested in bidding on the HVAC, for example, or the plumbing, or the precast concrete walls, or the actual cell beds, those kinds of things. So all those details have to be kind of spelled out in a way so that subcontractors can bid, so they know what they're bidding on. And the timetable for that, I think it takes a couple months, and I think the hope is to get this done so they can start construction in early 26, but that's my recollection. I'm going to say for sure in 26.
I think you're right, Ray. I think I remember seeing that in your own story. But is there anything else that you think viewers should know that we haven't covered, either about what happened with the special session yesterday or looking ahead for building this project?
I think just to mention that we'll continue to cover this topic. Even today we're working on possible different angles, whether that's, lawmakers or Sioux Falls city officials, or even, perhaps DOC employees weighing in or their union. So this is a continuing story. Now that the bill is passed, there's lots of things that have to happen that we will continue to cover.
Ray, thank you so much for giving all of these details and really working hard to get all of these details out. I appreciate your work, as we all do. Thank you, Ray. And everyone, stick around. We're going to continue looking at the trending stories in the area and bring in our newsroom staff members to talk about it. Coming up next, we're looking at a story involving a USD professor who has filed a lawsuit to stop the Board of Regents from firing him. This is Inside the Newsroom. We'll be back after the break. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. One USD professor is fighting to keep his job following a controversial Facebook post. Michael Hook has filed a federal lawsuit claiming that the Board of Regents and the USD officials are violating his First Amendment rights. Looking into this lawsuit in the context of what happened is our reporter, Gracie Terrell. Gracie, what kind of context should we know, the viewers, before we get into this lawsuit? What happened to Hook?
Yeah, so he was put on administrative leave after he made a Facebook post shortly after Charlie Kirk died on September 10th. He made a post and it had, he said that Kirk was a hate-spreading Nazi, and there were some other things in the post, but he took that down a couple of hours later, issued an apology, but then the Governor Larry Roden, as well as a couple of other politicians, kind of brought it to social media, posted about it, and said that he should be fired. And then after that, the Board of Regents put him on administrative leave, and were kind of in the process of the intent to fire Hook because of that post.
So now the biggest update is Hook has this lawsuit out. So what is he requesting in this lawsuit?
Yeah, so in the lawsuit, he is requesting a temporary restraining order as well as a couple of injunctions just to, prevent the school or the Board of Regents from retaliating against him further, to take him off administrative leave so he can go back into the classroom just until the, litigation is all over.
Is there any department or person named in the lawsuit?
There are 3 people that are named specifically in the lawsuit. That includes Tim Rave. He's the president of the South Dakota Board of Regents. Sheila Gestring. She is the president of USD. And then Bruce Kelly. He is the dean of the College of Fine Arts. And he was the one that issued Hook a letter kind of saying that he was being put on administrative leave based on these two policies that the Board of Regents has. And in the lawsuit, Hook argues that those two policies are vague and broad and wouldn't withstand in court versus the right to free speech is what he's arguing.
As you're talking about all this, it's reminding me of when I read your article. I thought you did a really nice job balancing out in your article the policies that were cited for Hook's leave of absence and maybe termination, and then also arguing what the lawsuit has about violations of First Amendment rights in the U.S. Constitution. So in your opinion, what's important about offering this type of balance on both sides, especially for a story like this one?
Sure, yeah. So these kinds of stories, especially when they involve, litigation and going to court and stuff, it can be hard for the parties, the plaintiffs and the defendants to speak to the media just because they want, I think, that conversation to kind of happen in the courtroom in front of a judge. So usually in these situations, it can be kind of hard to actually talk to the people involved unless you can catch them in court. So I kind of had to go off of, everything that was in that lawsuit, which is about 35 pages, and then those policies. So balancing that when we don't get to, hear from the university or hear from Hook himself. So just trying to, have that balance of, what is said in the policy and then picking the parts within the lawsuit that kind of, are relevant or are the most important for viewers to know since it is 35 pages. So it does kind of get into things a little bit. And there's a lot of, legalese, references to past federal court cases. So just trying to, pick out the most important information that people will need to know and then referencing those policies that are relevant within the case to kind of balance it out when we don't have the actual people involved able to speak.
And Gracie, you mentioned that it's helpful when we hear voices in court. You're actually heading to court this afternoon, right?
Yeah, yep. He will be in federal court today at 2 p.m. That is on the request for a temporary restraining order. So we will kind of hear from the judge and then also, if hear from the other side as well, kind of their response initially to this court, to the lawsuit and everything. So that will be at 2:00. Hopefully we'll be able to catch some of the people outside beforehand, maybe get their thoughts or afterwards, depending on what the judge says. But we will have something up on KELOLAND News tonight after that 2 p.m. court hearing.
Gracie, thank you so much for joining me here for all of those details. I appreciate it.
Of course.
And everyone stick around because up next, we're checking in with Scott Mutt about our KELOLAND warm spell for this fall. Can you believe it? It's fall. But what, we have 90-degree weather coming in? Yeah, I said it. It's coming. We're going to learn more with Scott Mutt after the break. Stay with us. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Now, come on, by this point, you all know how I feel about colder temperatures, about fall, especially about winter. We'll get to winter when it's time for winter. But honestly, it's not even time for fall. It's time for summer, Scott. Did you see the smile?
Time for summer?
It feels like it.
We can't shake it.
It just stays around. I'm heading up to
Where are you going now?
northern Minnesota this upcoming weekend. We're going to Merrifield. It's like 2 hours west of Duluth. It's like near Brainerd, so It's like super north. I've never really been that north before except for Duluth.
What are you going for?
I'm going to stay with some friends at an Airbnb.
Ooh.
And so we're going to be it's like right on the lake. I forget what lake it is, but it's in Merrifield. I know that. And I'm very excited because the weather is literally going to be like 70 to 80 degrees up there.
Yep.
And isn't it going to be like 90 down here in Sioux Falls?
Well, we have 90 in our 7-day forecast in Rapid City. We have every bit of, I would say, low, middle 80s on Sunday in Sioux Falls, maybe a little cooler for Saturday as a cold front moves through that will move through dry. It'll knock our temperatures down to the 70s, but we'll still be above average.
Above average. That's like the biggest headline of this entire week, huh?
We just continue that trend with above average temperatures.
You just said, ugh. You don't like it?
Well, no, it was more like an, oh, man. And it just continues, not a...
You know what's surprising to me? Maybe you're smart enough as a scientist to help me with this, but I was expecting...
Maybe I'm not.
No. Listen. I was expecting a lot of bugs to be out this summer, okay? Just summertime, because it was so humid out and pretty warm, But I feel like more bugs are out now than they were this past summer. Like when I walk outside at night, like around like 6 or 7 o'clock, there's like gnats. There's so many ladybugs, and ladybugs aren't weird, but it's like the gnats and the biting flies and all that I'm like, where'd you guys come from?
Right, and you're outdoors during the evening. The winds haven't been that strong either, so that's one factor that kind of keeps these bugs around.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No, I'm trying to go on my walk in the nice temperatures.
You have to wear some insect repellent.
Oh, yeah, my lemongrass.
Now, there's an idea.
No, we talked about this before, a long time ago. Gosh, it
We
feels
did,
like
that's
ages
right.
ago. Ages ago. What's on your docket for weather or not today?
Well, we talk about the above average temperatures, how long we think that they will last, and the reason why they are lasting as long as we have them in the forecast. We go behind the scenes with that. We show a computer model what we may see as we get into the first couple of days of October, maybe a little cooler. We're trying to pick up on that trend as we get into October. And something else that I do not want to mention because I know you don't like it.
Oh, I know this word.
Yep, so I'm not saying it.
Fine.
On to the next issue.
I have something fun that we can do. No, I got something fun that we can do as people are preparing to watch Whether or Not, which airs after Inside the Newsroom at 1 o'clock and also always on demand on KELOLAND Plus. Scott, I recently was equipped, with music that I could use for...
Are you a DJ?
Yeah, exactly. This is music I could use for Inside the Newsroom or anything that's news related. And so I think with your help, with your guidance, and also with the guidance of the viewers, I'm asking for advice from you guys too. Let's listen to some music and see which of these 3 tracks sound like Inside the Newsroom. How's that sound, Scott?
This is almost like Name That Tune.
No trademark. This is Inside the Newsroom.
Okay.
Music edition. Okay, so I'm going to play the first track. We'll just listen to about like 10 seconds of each, and I only have 3, okay? So here's the first track. By the way, I haven't listened to any of this music yet.
Strong. Sounds strong.
It sounds...
Right?
Oh.
There's that little undertone of...
Yeah. Okay, that's just a couple seconds of that one. That sounds like I'm in a fantasy land. Like I'm a knight or something going into battle. I don't know how I feel about that one.
I could see that one.
That one's a little too... I think that one's a bit more hard news style. We're kind of soft news here in Inside the Newsroom because we like to have fun. So maybe a different... Maybe not so medieval.
We need to, like, you try and pick out, our theme music.
Yes, Whether or Not has so much. Oh, that's a good idea. But I was just going to say, like, Whether or Not you have so much music you can choose from. That's why I did this. I was jealous. Okay, here's our second track. Let's listen to this one. I like this one. I'm looking for like a dance vibe.
Okay. Between those 2, I would take the first one.
You would take the first one?
I would take the first one.
Well, this is my show, so it's up to me. Well, okay, I'm asking for your opinion, so I can't be too judgmental.
What's that email address I should send an email to?
You could send it to... Oh, let's listen to the third track, actually. Here we go. Last one.
Still like the first one.
Give it some time.
Little build right there.
This sounds like trailer music. Like an action adventure is about to happen.
And I was like waiting for something else, and it just didn't come in.
I want to keep listening. I want to keep listening to this one. It just sounds like a trailer.
You play it underneath. We can continue our
Just a little bit of
conversation.
underneath. Is this what I'll be doing now for the rest of our segment, Scott? Okay, you liked the
Maddie.
first one. Okay, so you liked the first one. I like the second one. That one was kind of dancey.
But it's your show.
Okay, here's the first one again. Just a little bit.
Whichever one you want.
Yeah, this sounds like medieval music.
Yeah, maybe that's why I like it.
Fantasy style. Okay, I'm taking that one out. Let's just... My second one.
This is the one that goes...
Yeah, there it was. Oh, I like this one. I don't know. That might be the one. Sorry, Scott. You can use the other one for Whether or Not if you'd like.
You don't have another one?
Another one? I only have those 3. We had some when we were doing our prison live stream yesterday. We got some music that was like overplaying when there was like a slate up saying like what's coming next in the live stream and stuff like that. I loved that. That was fun. So I was like dancing behind the screen a little bit each time that was happening.
That gave you some ideas that you need some new music for your show.
For my show. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Paul Farmer delivered. So thank you, Paul.
Any other music we could listen to? I know there is.
I do have another track.
Okay.
But
it's not for your show.
It's not for this show.
It's not for my show.
It's not for your show. But it is for a KELOLAND Plus original show. Okay, just a little tease. We have some music now for Boredom Busters on KELOLAND Plus.
All right. With
Now,
Perry Groten.
With Perry Groten.
Is he singing?
Man of the house. Oh, we should make him sing. He would just eat that up. I know he would. But this music, you know, you just heard a little bit about what kind of music I like. I like that little dancey music. Yeah. I will say that's my hint. I think our viewers will be up on their feet, grooving around when Perry's reading his list.
Just get to it.
No, I'm not playing it. Not here. This is for Boredom Busters. Nice try. You're
not
gonna
even
have to
giving
watch.
a sample?
No, you have to watch Boredom Busters at 5:30 on Fridays or 8 in the morning on Saturdays on KELOLAND Plus, and then you can hear that music, Scott.
I see the disappointment in my face.
No, here. Let me look closer. Scott, that's all the time that you and I have together. Thank you for being here, showing off your disappointment and your musical expertise.
Oh, anytime.
Everyone, stick around. We're going to have more on Inside the Newsroom after the break. I am sad to say that we are out of time for Inside the Newsroom today. We can all cry a little bit just for now. Thank you for watching, first of all. And if you're crying like me about it, because we want to dance, we want to keep having fun here, learn more about our trending stories, hear from our newsroom staff members, dance along to some music. Well, we're going to come back for Inside the Newsroom tomorrow. You can watch it live at 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock right here on KELOLAND Plus, or it's always offered on demand. Just find the section that says KELOLAND Plus original shows. You'll see me. You'll see Scott Munt. You'll see Grant Sweeter. You'll see it all. All of those original shows right there for you to watch. So until next time, have a great day, everyone.